Hi, I'm Siddhija. Um, this difficult name of mine was kept by my mum, and they both are working parents. I come from a background of working parents. And I'm more closer to my mum because of the fact that she had fixed timings, like fixed office timings. She would be going out in the morning and coming in the evenings. So the only time I would get with her was during the evenings when she would be back and we would be discussing the day, what happened during the day. And I think now when I look back at things, I was a very difficult child to handle. Because, I mean, I would have my own thingies, like I would do something, sneak out and be like, it was me actually who did that. Like spilling off the milk bottles and telling nobody, and then people are, and my mom's like, who the bloody hell spilled the milk here? And, well, it was me, not dad. So, bedtime, like evening bedtime was like, the day would end with a bedtime story. And I was demanding, like, every time I would be like, tell me a story, tell me a story. And she would tell me different stories from folk mythology, of the heroes, of history, anything that she could think of. Sometimes she would even read out stories, unless she was tired. But one of the stories I vividly remember is from the Mahabharata. Now, the Mahabharata is a huge text. I mean, seriously, it's an epic poem. It's 20 times bigger than the Bible even. So you can imagine how big it is with many characters in it. And one character I could relate to was Draupadi, the wife of 5 Pandavas. She had 5 husbands. Now think of it, like, and she was very strong enough. I mean, I could relate to her because she was dark complexioned like me, and she had really long hair, like they would almost touch the floor, so that long, like my mom. And I liked her for this very reason. Like, she was strong, she was dark complexioned with beautiful hair, which I wanted always, but anyways. So when I decided to go to college for my graduation, it was going to be like, I'm going for history and arts. I mean, I'm not going to go for science like dad. This was the time when my professors introduced me to one of the research scholars, R.C. Dhere. Now, this guy is interesting because he talks about the deities and their origins. And in one of his works, he actually talks about female deities and how the origins of female deities come into being and how the society was matriarchal. And this was interesting for me, who was always told that we are supposed to be in a patriarchal society and that men are to be taking the lead. So it was like, wow, I mean, we had a matriarchal society where women are taking the lead. That's wonderful. Like, we will be leading the things and be like, this is supposed to be done and you are not going to overrule us. The reason for this was that females had the power of begetting children. Like, they were the ones responsible for getting a family. So, like, the more kids you have, the more the family is going to be, like, the line is going to go on. And imagine a time when you have mortality rate like 5 kids, only 2 remain, and of the 2, 1 is a guy, and like the rest are girls. So it was difficult, and that's why females were respected, and that's how the thing of females being respected and worshipped as goddesses came through. And this was the thread that was like very good. I mean, you have this concept of universal motherhood, which then came through. Like, I told my mom that, there's like female motherhood concept, and she's like, well, it's interesting, I was like, yeah. And this was during 2012, I completed my bachelor's and I wanted to go for my master's. And 2012 wasn't a very good year for India because we have the Nirbhaya case coming through. 5 men gang raping a girl, molesting her, left her to die on the streets. And she was actually like, this incident shook the whole of Delhi, not just Delhi, it just shook the whole of the country. I mean, it was like, how inhuman can a person be? And it was then that you have things like, we do worship female women and the temples. Like, do we have the right to worship them as women? And incidentally, I was going to go to Delhi to study my master's from the University National Museum Institute, which is for an art history, my first master's. And I was like, Mama, I want to go to New Delhi. And she's like, did you not find any other place to go to? Like, Delhi, seriously, woman? And I was like, well, the course is good, and I want to do it really. She was like, well, I can't stop you. Go. It was here that I got my love for the arts, in particularly the sculptures, the female sculptures with the beautiful, graceful forms, and the mythologies associated with them, because these were mostly temple sculptures. They are not just any random sculptures. And I had the plus point of knowing the mythologies behind them. So I remember telling my friends, oh, this is Parvati, and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, slow down, girl, slow down. I know you're excited, but, we don't know the mythologies, and you're really fast for us. So that was like that. And as Tim mentioned, at the completion of my master's, I got to know that, there's something called as a University of Sheffield, which has courses. And I was like, I want to do this. Seriously, I would love it. But I was only worried about the fact that how is the expenses going to be. So I was like, Mama, I want to go to Delhi. I went to Delhi, you supported me, but now, if I tell you I have to go to UK, would you be happy? She's like, well, better than Delhi. I mean, instead of going to a city where rapes occur, it's better to go to some place where at least I know that you're going to be safe. And don't worry, you will be fine. I was like, will I? I mean, I'm just worried about the money issues. She's like, don't worry, we'll do it. So that's how I come here to study cultural heritage management. I mean, it took a long time to select the course which I'll be. But it also took a long time to select a topic for my dissertation, which we are having now. Like, in spring semester, my professor, Paul Halstead, puts a bomb on us like, well, you're having your dissertations. Have you decided on your topics? And we all are like, yeah, I'm trying to find one. So that's when I again came back to the Draupadi, because I found out that Draupadi is worshipped as a goddess in South India. I mean, in India, at least in my hometown, Bombay, we are not supposed to keep the Mahabharata at home, because it's like, if you keep the Mahabharata at home, the text, it's going to spark, like, it's going to have tiffs every day in your house, because the Mahabharata is all about quarrels and battles, bloody battles, 18-day war, which nobody wants at home. And suddenly you have this, one of these characters being worshipped. I mean, you have the text being, the 18-day war being enacted, which was interesting. I was like, wow, like, you have the 18-day war being enacted. And this was like very interesting. And the second reason why I related with Draupadi is because of an incident which shook Draupadi's life. I mean, that was the one which almost led to the war, we can say that, which was the disrobing of Draupadi in the whole of the court. Now, the 5 Pandavas, her husbands, decide that they are going to play a game of dice in which they stake their own themselves, and they lose, obviously, and then they stake their wife, and wow, they lose her as well. So now you have the evil guy, Duryodhan, telling his brother, well, by the way, there are 100 brothers. If 5 is not enough, you have 100 brothers on the opposite party. So, yeah, I mean, they're telling the eldest of the brothers, Duryodhan, is telling his younger one that get the whore out from her chambers, and you have her being dragged on through her hair, and then Duryodhan is like, take off her clothes. I mean, they belong to us. And so you have this robing of Draupadi, the incident which sparked the fire. And she, in the whole court, is like, you all men are just eunuchs. You don't do anything. My husband stand there. You don't do anything, guys. The whole court is calm, and I won't stay quiet. I will get my revenge. If this way or that way, I will get the revenge. And that's what reached from Mahabharata, which was interesting because, like, after the Nirbhaya incident, it was the whole of the city was on fire, and on the contrary, we have girls being always told that you are supposed to be poised, and if anything like that happens to you, you're supposed to be staying calm. You're not supposed to be raising your voices. These things happen. Like, it's normal. There are going to be people who are just going to pass on and be touching you anywhere and everywhere. So that's okay. But Draupadi, I mean, after this Nirbhaya case, there was this thing which I loved, and I would like to end it now, that like Draupadi born from the fire. She never was like the meek lady who we, I think, are now, like we girls are now. She stood against evil, she stood against her atrocities, and she came out of that like the blazing fire that never sees what, I mean, if it's evil, burn it down. And it can also be a nourishing one.